Hey, what's going on? This is another episode of the Bible Way podcast edition for May 11th on a Sunday morning. You know how we do, from old to new, apply the word to you. From we last left off to Esther chapter 9. Esther chapter 9. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, out there. God bless you. So let's get right into it. Esther chapter 9. Esther chapter 9. Now in the 12th month, there's the month of Adar. Adar. On the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and its decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them. Though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt. No man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon the people, all people. And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Jews because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For the Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai was greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. And in Shushan, the palace, that the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men. In Parshdahana, Hatha, in Dalphon, in Aspatha, in Perazah, in Edaliah, in Edradah, in Palmachata, Arizai, and Eridai, and Jezazatha, and the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hamadadah, the enemy of the Jews, slew them they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day, the numbers of those that were slain in Shushan, the palace was brought before the king. King said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan, in the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Further, it shall be done. And said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according to the days of the day, to this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. The king commanded it so to be done, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. But the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month of Adar, and slew 300 men in Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood up for their lives, They had rest from their enemies and slew of their foes 70,000, but they laid not their hand on the prey. On the 13th day of the month Adar, on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and of the 14th thereof, and on the 15th thereof of the same day they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month of Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent the letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces and King Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, in the month which was turned into them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning to a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, gifts to the poor. Okay, reference verse, chapter 9, verse 21, and another reference verse, chapter 9, verse 22. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and the enemy of all Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and to cast Pur, that is, the lot of to consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his son should be hanged on the gallows. Reference verse, chapter 9, verse 25. Therefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to the writing, and according to their appointed time every year. And these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and even every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, and nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. Then Esther, the queen, and the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm the second letter of Purim. He sent the letters unto all the Jews in the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, going to as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had joined them, as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed, that the matters of the fasting and their cry. The decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. Alrighty. Good chapter right here. Esther chapter 9. Pretty much, this was short and sweet. Jews taking care of business. And pretty much wiping out the herds of the sons of Haman, the same guy that wanted to destroy him upon the gallows. They all was hung upon the gallows on their own trap that was meant for the Jews. So that pretty much sums this chapter up. In the establishment and also of some important dates in Jewish history. But that'll do it for this one. This is another episode of the Bad Boy Live, not Bad Boy Live, but Bad Boy Podcast Edition for May 11th, 2025, on a Sunday morning. Happy Mother's Day once again. And like I said, once before, if you want to get in touch with this podcast, let's go on Spotify and hit the search bar and look up Bad Boy Podcast Edition, and you'll be on your way. It's pretty much a kind of a light blue picture with the title, of course, and I think you got a cross in the background, sort of, and with a lot of smoke around that cross. But y'all have a good one. I'm gone.